laws and institutions in many countries in the world. And there have been different methods by which it has been resolved, in either carve-outs or greater mutual consultation or collegial style of functioning. And where even that has not worked, the courts have come in and settled some of those disputes. Now, according to us, the division of functions is reasonably clear, that the technical functions are clearly within the domain of the sectoral regulators. The tariff and royalty issues that I was mentioning earlier are clearly within the domain of the sectoral regulators. But issues of behavior, ex-post activities which they do, which may be different from what they had promised to the sectoral regulator at the time when they were given permission or given a license or given the freedom to operate, that has to be checked by the market regulator. Now, obviously, when there are sectoral regulators, they will try to say that we are there, why should there be a new regulator? And it's also, it happens very often that business and industry also feels a little uncomfortable. Sorry for my saying so publicly, but nobody really likes more and more regulators on the scene. So that's why, and yesterday, for instance, there was a debate going on the television, one of the channels post the order on the cement fertilization case. And one of the analysts made the remark that earlier business and industry had to deal with two mother-in-laws, the RBI and SEBI. Now there is a third mother-in-law that they have to deal with. So basically the point is that, when there are more and more regulators, there is a tendency to cut the functioning of those regulators. I don't think it's likely to happen because there is a clear law which is in position. In any case, as and when any changes take place, they will have to be piloted and will have to go through the process of amendments to the Act through Parliament.
Sir, there is a question by Ms. Aishwarya Gupta of Nirma University Institute of Law. Should government allow the creation of a regulators forum as has been done in some other countries, which would allow CCI and sectoral regulators to work in close cooperation and coordinate their action? This would also allow the regulators to achieve policy coherence while simultaneously getting sensitized to competition law.
In fact, the government is actively piloting a national competition policy. The idea basically is the kind of coherence that you are talking of, both in policy making at the level of government on the one hand, because there is lots which needs to be done in that front, and there was a question on oil companies and so on. But there could be many such questions on where there is disconnect between government policy and competition principles. So that's ought to be addressed through the competition policy, and the other is this issue of regulators working in harmony and their acts not at cross purposes, and their policies, I think now with the cabinet will perhaps take some decision on that. That provides for the proposal is to have a cabinet committee on competition chaired by the Prime Minister himself, which will hopefully coordinate these kind of conflicts which arise from time to time.
Sir, there are 2 or 3 questions from the South Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Surat, but they all relate to single issue, so I will read out only one of them. It's from Mr. Ashish Gujnani, Gujarati, Mr. Patel Devesh Kantilal and Mr. Vijay Mewada. Surat Powerloom Cluster, having 50,000 micro units of power looms, is suffering from erratic rise in yarn prices. Industry is almost on the verge of collapse. Please do the needful.
There is an investigation which is at a fairly advanced stage, you may be aware. And I think the Director General Investigation had gone to Surat and must have got your information and recorded your statements and so on and so forth. So once the Director General submits his report, see the process is, whatever matters come to us, or whatever matters we think are worth looking at, we send them to a Director General, who is the investigative wing of the Commission. He is somewhat independent, and that's a body which draws from various disciplines, income tax and enforcement directorate and CBI and so on. So their job is to investigate and then send their report to the Commission. After that, the Commission hears the parties concerned and gives the judgment. So that investigation is going on. If that is what you are referring to, it will hopefully reach some conclusion. But what that will be, I can't say.
So we would like to join as a affected party.
But aren't you there already? Then why don't you send a letter to the Director General with a copy to the Commission?
Okay, thank you.
Friends, we have time for only one or two questions. There are some questions relating to the recent order of the CCI pertaining to the cement industry, which we are not taking up today. I do not think it is a forum where we should take it up. There are some questions asking appointment from the CCI. Again, we are not taking up those questions also. There is a question from Mr. Sanjay Prasad, an IAS officer, sir, Principal Secretary, Social Justice and Empowerment. What do you think of the view of Joseph Schumpeter that perfect competition is a possible disincentive to innovation and technological upgradation, as the innovators may not be able to recover the costs of research and development due to the rapid diffusion of technology?
I agree, but then there is never perfect competition. So it's more a theoretical sort of concept.
A question, sir, by Mr. Ravi Bundela of the Gujarat National Law University. Mr. Ravi Bundela? Yes, sir. There. What is the scope of extraterritorial jurisdiction covered under competition law? How much is it successful in its implementation?
We haven't sort of had any cases on that yet. What we've had are merger cases of entities which are merging overseas, and we've looked at what is the implication in our jurisdiction. As would have been looked at in many jurisdictions, because now business is so international. So if a steel company in Japan is merging with a steel company, let's say in Europe, then what will be the impact on India is something which we look at. And they need to apply to us, and they do apply to us if they are operating or selling in India. If we feel that it is going to impact the Indian market, if their combined strength is going to be substantial and they are going to be dominant, then we can block that so far as India is concerned. It hasn't happened so far, but that's the legal possibility. But that doesn't mean that the merger will not take place. That merger will still take place. They will not be able to carry on their business so far as India is concerned.
Mr. Aditya of GNLU. Aditya, is your question covered? Okay. Mr. Varun Vinay Chauhan of GNLU. Now it's a very long question, and frankly I have not understood it also. So I would request that kindly take a mic and very briefly if you can ask what you want to ask.
Sir, I would like to know why does the 391 and 391 to 394 of the Indian Companies Act, whether a designated company court has to give a judicial sanction? I mean, why does a merger and acquisition scheme of amalgamation that is sanctioned by the CCI need to go through a judicial scrutiny of the High Court? If you look at the Suriksha case, where the Madras High Court has been dealing with the scheme of amalgamation, the scheme of amalgamation was ultimately frustrated because of the court's delay. So, can it not be that the CCI be the final authority, and as soon as CCI approves, there be no the scheme of amalgamation is sanctioned? And my second question is relating to the aviation policy, because our aviation policy has always, for the past 60 years, been favorable to a certain company called Air India. Under Section 620 of the Indian Companies Act, the Air India Indian Airlines merger was given a clean sheet and it never passed to any judicial sanction. Now the question is, can CCI now level the playing field and deal the case of Kingfisher, Air India and all the other airlines in a way that the government doesn't abuse its dominant position?
See, lawyers normally don't want lesser jurisdiction, so I don't know why you are saying that the High Court jurisdiction should not be there. You certainly don't want to be out of business. But having said that, that's in a lighter way. You see, in the Competition Commission, we can only look at the merger from the angle of competition, nothing beyond that. But the Companies Act has a much wider jurisdiction. There are different stakeholders. They need to be heard in the process of merger. There are creditors, all kinds of things, debtors. So there the minority shareholders. So that's not an issue that we will ever go into. It's not our mandate. So that cannot, as far as I know, cannot really be repealed and should not be repealed. So far as the merger of Air India and Indian Airlines is concerned, one, of course, the merger took place before the Competition Act was enforced, or at least the, no provision of the Act has been enforced then. Consequently, while at that point in time, maybe the combined entity had a reasonably high share, but consequent to that, we all know what has been happening to the merged entity. So today the market share of the merged entity is much lower than the market share of many other entities which have come to the front later. And so therefore, even if you don't want to theoretically look at the possibility, there is no dominance of the merged entity. There cannot be any abuse, and so there is no case for unbundling the merger, which is what perhaps you are suggesting. So I don't think that is really necessary.
Yeah.
So, but in Air India, we're looking at, whatever you said is correct, but what we are looking at right now, that the government does have capital and the government can shape the aviation policy that the other competitors will not be able to perform that well. So in that light, and let's look at Kingfisher today. Do we need a bailout for Kingfisher? And the same, the government is looking to give a bailout to Air India. So how is that possible that you're giving a government company and you're not giving a private company a bailout? So how can you regulate that? And the only Air India is dominant. Yes, I agree, market share is nothing and it's making losses daily. We all know that, but it still has the backup of government. So how can that be regulated? Because that is not giving a level playing field, to be frank.
See, I think let's distinguish between direct support and indirect support. Direct support is what the owner or the promoter puts into the company. Now we can't sort of grudge from the competition point of view. If the government were to put 2,000, 3,000 crores by way of equity in Air India, should the owner feel that yes, that is necessary for the long-term health of the company? It's another matter whether from the fiscal policy point of view or from the public policy point of view, whether the government should do it or not is another matter. But we are not the guardians of that. That will have to be looked at in other forums than in Parliament and so on. Indirect benefit. There is no indirect benefit either in terms of taxation or in aviation turbine fuel. I mean, everybody has the same sort of incentive or disincentive as Air India, any other airline. So there is, I don't think, a lot has been made about the fact that Air India is getting some preferential treatment. No, maybe it's getting money, and it's taxpayers' money, it's valuable money, but it's not a competition.